Alright, so my opponent says that our involvement in Afghanistan is crucial for potential Pakistani conflicts, for stabilizing the government. It'll allow the Taliban to regroup, amongst other things. However, our continued involvement. Dude, I'm so. Actually, can I start over? Sorry.
Sure.
Okay. So, the U.S. involvement in Afghanistan So my opponent says that U.S. forces staying in Afghanistan and keeping their presence there is beneficial to not allowing the Taliban to regroup and come back together, and that withdrawing would allow these groups to recollect and gain their powers again. However, the continued presence of American and NATO forces actually benefits the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. The ongoing NATO mission means that continued combat confrontations and the ever-increasing risk to the civilian population of Afghanistan. These sorts of deaths, including injuries and destruction of property, have so far been demonstrably destructive to the U.S.-led international effort to stabilize Afghanistan and to defeat the violent insurgency being waged by the Taliban and other militant groups. This was found by Ali Garhab. He wrote, "Inevitable Obama surge in Afghanistan will bring a surge in civilian deaths." According to reports last January by the UN, over 2,118 civilians were killed in 2008, which is an increase of 40% over 2004. My opponent says that our troops the Afghan forces are being killed a lot, but what about civilians? Also, we must look at our U.S. troops and our U.S. and military casualties. He says that the U.S. troops are no longer being targeted as much, and that our troops are not being killed as much. However, the U.S. troops right now currently are taking a high rate of casualties. As of January 16, 2013, there have been 3,169 coalition deaths in Afghanistan as a part of the ongoing coalition of operations. This was found according to iCasualties. The total U.S. casualties has been 2,083. And this was also found by iCasualties. The Department of Defense reports it as being 2,077. And the increase in civilian deaths, as we saw between 2007 and 2008, was a 40% increase, shows that while, yes, they may be targeting the Afghani troops, they're also targeting the civilians, and they're killing off the civilians, which is extremely important, that for their military to continue to take more losses so that they can counteract those civilian losses. A quote from the Iranian Department Foreign Minister Mohammad Mandi in April of 2009 says that the presence of foreign forces has not improved things in the country. He talks about how the presence of U.S. forces in the last couple of years, he follows up in another article to talk about between 2009 and now, how about their presence has not benefited at all. It's actually gone to harming, which kind of leads back to my point of the Taliban being able to grow stronger. The President Obama said, "The reason we went to war in the first place is now within reach, to ensure that al-Qaeda can never again use Afghanistan to launch attacks against our country." Showing that the commander-in-chief is saying that our goals are now within reach. We should go ahead and withdraw because those goals are right there. We can grasp them. We're okay to go ahead and make sure that our national security is no longer jeopardized by terrorist groups in Afghanistan. We also have to look at, actually, I'm going to go back and revisit the civilian casualties and Afghani military casualties with some other statements. In 2012, the NATO and Afghan forces reduced civilian casualties by 46% over the previous year, but casualties attributed to the Taliban and other militant groups increased, accounting for 81% of all casualties in 2012. The conflict-related violence increased to affect women and girls, and not just Afghani troops. Georgia Gannon, he was interviewed. He is the Human Rights Director for the UN in its mission in Afghanistan, and she says that 20% more women and girls were killed in the conflicts last year. All told, more than 4,800 Afghans were injured and 2,700 were killed in 2012. These are civilians, not just military. And that creates a large cost to war. Not only is our continued presence in Afghanistan killing our own troops, it's leading towards the terror groups gaining stronger power, and they're taking this stronger power and they're targeting the civilians and continuing to kill our own troops.